Well, the governments of the two countries have been more vocal, and as their accusations and denials fly, worried analysts realize the stakes are very high. Both countries have nuclear weapons, and a return to conflict would have terrible, terrible implications. For more, we're joined now by Christine Fair, a senior political scientist with RAND Corporation, joining us now live from Washington. Thanks so much for being with us. Let me ask you, first of all, about the government of Pakistan. It is saying point blank, Pakistan was not involved. It is saying that it will investigate, and it is saying that it will punish anyone on its soil who may have been responsible. That is a young, weak, civilian government saying all three things. Is it credible on any of the three?
Well, you know, we've been down this route with Pakistan before. There have been a number of terrorist attacks in India that have had a very clear Pakistani signature, and Pakistan has made all of these promises, and yet Pakistan has never honored any of those promises that it's made. You know, everyone sort of understands the problem. A raft of militant groups have been able to continue operating in Pakistan with impunity. The challenge is not India's alone. The United States has been very uneven in the pressure that it's placed upon Pakistan since 9/11. For many years, it was really pressuring Pakistan to focus upon al-Qaeda and was very uneven in its insistence that Pakistan decisively act against all of these militant groups. Lashkar-e-Taiba operates under the name of Jamaat al-Dawa, and anyone can go onto the web and hop onto their website. That's the level of opacity, you know, of transparency with which the organization is allowed to operate in Pakistan.
And yet when we talk about Pakistan, we're talking about it as if it were a monolithic thing ruled by one powerful authority that could extend its authority all over the country. What we have, in fact, is a history, rightfully or wrongfully, that suggests that the intelligence services have partnered with these terror groups, maybe created them in the past, and the civilian government is only nominally in charge of these much more powerful intelligence agencies. Is that the hurdle here?
Well, see, I think that's a really good point. In many countries where there is a terrorism problem, the terrorist groups are sort of sui generis. In Pakistan, with very few exceptions, the militant groups operating in and from it are actually creations of, as you noted, Pakistan's ISI, which is its external intelligence agency, operating under the command and control of the Pakistan military chief, the army chief in particular.
But not the government necessarily.
Exactly, not Pakistan civilian leadership. In some cases, you know, in many ways, this is not even in the Prime Minister, much less the President's policy domain. It's in the domain of the Chief of Army Staff, Kiani.
So what does India do in this situation? What does the United States do? If indeed some kind of Pakistani involvement is proven, does it make sense to try and punish the government when the government, the civilians, aren't really the ones who were behind this?
Well, no, this is exactly the problem. How do you selectively put pressure on the Pakistan army in a way that does not actually cause this very fragile democratic government to fall apart? Now, I might add, the Pakistan army very much understands this calculus, and it is this calculus that gives Pakistan a very high degree of impunity to continue to allow these groups to operate with these kinds of consequences. Another factor that complicates the decision-making of India, the United States, of course, is the fact that Pakistan is a nuclear weapon state. Everyone is very loath to sanction Pakistan because it fears how Pakistan might react.
Well, let me jump in on that very thought, because we have just a moment. They're both nuclear states. How nervous should the whole world be right now?
Well, there are multiple kinds of concerns. One, of course, is a conventional escalation that spills out of control. I don't think anyone in India is really talking about a military response. The level of proof for demonstrating state complicity just really isn't there. I think the real concern is, how do you deal with Pakistan? How do you compel Pakistan to seriously clamp down and end comprehensively not only supporting militant groups that operate from its borders, but actually eliminate them decisively? And many folks in Washington and in other capitals feel as if it can't be more coercive towards Pakistan because, A, they're very dependent upon Pakistan for supporting the war effort in Afghanistan, but they also fear that, for example, Pakistan could choose to proliferate to some of its enemies. Now, whether or not that's likely, of course, is another question altogether, but it's these kinds of fears that really produce a policy paralysis and limit the perceived options that global capitals have to take towards Pakistan.
Limited options. Christine Fair of RAND. Thanks so much for talking with us.